Good morning, everyone. Today, the House of Commons will sit to debate the government's new COVID-19 legislation. Conservatives support getting help to Canadians who are struggling. We have been proposing solutions to fix the wage subsidy since April. It is now the middle of July, and instead of implementing our changes to help businesses and workers, the Trudeau Liberals are making things worse. The Liberals' new wage subsidy is a complex web of rules and regulations that will trap businesses in paperwork and accounting fees, making it harder for them to get the help they need. This is further proof of the fact that Justin Trudeau has no plan to help Canadians get back on their feet or to restart our economy. Now, I plan to ask the Prime Minister about his lack of a plan today. I also plan to ask him about his $900 million scandal and ask him when he would be appearing at committee to testify. But instead of showing up to answer questions, as he said he would last week, he's taking a personal day today. He chose the date at which the House of Commons would convene, and he's not showing up for work today. Now, Justin Trudeau cannot hide from this scandal. He didn't make a mistake. He made a choice to hand almost $1 billion to a charity that has paid multiple members of his immediate family almost $300,000. An organization that employs immediate family members of the finance minister's family and that has close ties to the Liberal Party. This is the kind of scandal you would expect to hear in a corrupt country halfway across the globe, not in a G7 country like Canada. But given the Prime Minister's history, it's not really that surprising. Justin Trudeau est le seul Premier ministre de l'histoire du Canada à avoir été reconnu coupable d'infraction aux lois sur l'éthique. La première fois, parce qu'elle a accepté des vacances payées sur une île luxurieuse. La deuxième, parce qu'elle a usé de son pouvoir et de celui de son bureau pour contourner, miner la crédibilité et finalement discréditer l'ancien procureur général Jody Wilson-Raybould pendant le scandale de corruption SNC-Lavalin. Et maintenant, elle est sous enquête pour la troisième fois en 3 ans pour avoir récompensé un organisme qui a payé des membres de sa famille. The Trudeaus have appeared in, participated in, and financially benefited from dozens of we events since Justin Trudeau became Prime Minister. Each time, they were given a platform to promote their personal brand and the Liberal Party's policies. Now we know they also got paid. Meanwhile, we, the organization, has received multiple sole-sourced government contracts, the latest worth almost $1 billion. That raises serious questions about the Trudeau government's relationship with we. Almost $1 billion, no competition, no oversight, and no accountability. Sorry just isn't going to cut it. C'est pourquoi les conservateurs ont écrit à la commissaire de la GRC pour demander une enquête criminelle. Nous avons aussi écrit à la vérificatrice générale et à l'ombudsman de l'approvisionnement pour leur demander de faire enquête selon leur mandat respectif. Thanks to the hard work of Conservatives, 2 parliamentary committees are investigating. It should have been 3, but Liberal MPs on the Ethics Committee decided to help cover up Justin Trudeau's latest ethics violations and blocked a vote on Friday that would have launched further committee meetings. That is shameful, and I hope that they are held accountable by each one of their constituents in the next election. Justin Trudeau cannot be allowed to sweep this latest scandal under the rug. Just last week at the Finance Committee, we learned that we charity cabinet ministers lobbied cabinet ministers to adopt a proposal where before the Canada Student Service Grant was ever created. We also learned that we is not registered to lobby the government. Shortly after that, the Prime Minister personally announced the new program. We are told that we immediately, in fact, on the same day, submitted a revised proposal which Cabinet ultimately approved. That's not normal, and the government cannot use the pandemic as an excuse. Justin Trudeau utilise le pouvoir de son bureau pour s'enrichir, récompenser ses amis et faire taire les critiques. Les Canadiens ont de nombreuses questions sur le scandale de 900 millions de dollars de Justin Trudeau et ils méritent des réponses. Canadians deserve to know who suggested to we that they submit their original proposal, who told we about the announcement and what they would have to do to make their proposal fit the new parameters. Why was we the only organization considered? Did ministers know about the financial relationships between the Trudeau family, the Morneau family, and the we organization? Would that have changed their position on awarding the organization almost $1 billion contract? Do other ministers or their family members have financial relationships with we charity? Why did the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister not recuse themselves from the cabinet decision? Was the Prime Minister aware that red flags had been raised about we's financial dealings? Was he aware that we has amassed $43 million in real estate holdings in downtown Toronto? These are all questions that must be answered during the course of the many investigations. Le gouvernement Trudeau doit immédiatement remettre tous les documents relatifs à ce contrat. Nous savons comment le Premier ministre a usé de son pouvoir par le passé pour cacher la vérité aux Canadiens. On ne peut pas le laisser recommencer. Les conservateurs ne vont pas arrêter tant que les Canadiens n'ont pas de réponse. Thank you very much. Happy to take your questions.
We'll now take some questions, starting with questions on the phone. Quick reminder to reporter, one question, one follow-up. Nous allons maintenant prendre des questions, en commençant par des questions au téléphone. Un petit rappel, c'est une question suivie par journaliste. Opérateur, avons-nous une première question?
Thank you, merci. Please press star one at this time if you have a question. S'il vous plaît, appuyez sur étoile 1 maintenant pour poser une question. Et la première question, the first question, is from Catherine Lévesque de la Presse canadienne. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous.
Oui, bonjour, M. Scheer. Je veux juste clarifier. Donc, le Parti conservateur n'appuiera pas le projet de loi C-20 aujourd'hui?
Nous appuyons les mesures dans le projet de loi pour aider les personnes handicapées. Nous avons soutenir ce programme en mois de juin. Et nous l'appuyons aujourd'hui. Nous avons des préoccupations avec l'aspect de le projet de loi autour de la subvention salariale. C'est trop complexe. Vous avez besoin d'un degré en mathématiques pour comprendre tous les aspects de le programme pour la subvention salariale. On va utiliser les prochains jours pour essayer d'avoir le gouvernement adopter nos idées pour simplifier. Mais on va assurer que l'aide aux personnes handicapées va être adoptée.
OK, donc c'est pas tout à fait clair si vous allez l'appuyer ou non, mais
I'll just say that part in English.
Yeah.
So we have major concerns around the wage subsidy. We've highlighted ideas to make it simpler. You need a degree in mathematics to fully understand all the permutations and combinations that they've come up with. We need to get help out the door to businesses. There are many people who are not being able to go back to work because their businesses can't afford to pay the salaries as they reopen their places of work. We've called on the government to make those measures simpler. And I would remind Canadians that we identified the gaps in these Liberal programs in April. It's now towards the end of July, and they still aren't getting it right. So we support the measures of the bill that will get help to people with disabilities. We supported that in June. We tried to get the government to fast track the adoption of those programs in June. We've since put pressure on the government to make the support for people with disabilities more expansive so that more people with disabilities will get help, including disabled veterans. So we certainly support those measures. And we are going to use the next couple of days to try to get the government to make the wage subsidy portion of the bill simpler.
Donc, mais le vote pourrait avoir lieu aujourd'hui. Donc, allez-vous voter pour ou contre. Et ma question de suivi, c'est vous avez sûrement vu cette vague de dénonciations anonymes sur des crimes de nature sexuelle au Québec. Yves-François Blanchet est visé par une allégation anonyme. Je me demandais qu'est-ce que vous feriez comme chef de parti si vous ou un de vos députés faisait l'objet d'une telle allégation?
Mhm. Alors, nous avons un processus dans notre parti. Nous prenons des allégations sérieusement et nous avons assuré que les allégations sont traitées en une manière sérieuse. C'est essentiel quand on crée un espace, quand on a des processus pour les victimes, pour avoir les allégations gérées. Et quand j'ai été président de la Chambre des communes, nous avons adopté une régie pour gérer les allégations comme ça. Je note qu'il y a des ministres libéraux qui ont déclaré qu'elles croient les victimes, mais ils siègent à côté d'un premier ministre qui lui-même a été accusé. Mais ils sont tous silents. Alors, je trouve l'hypocrisie des membres de le gouvernement libéral.
Opérateur, prochaine question.
Thank you. Merci. The next question, la question suivante, est de Andrew Lawton from True North. La parole est à vous. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Scheer. Regarding the Prime Minister facing ethics and conflict of interest investigations, we've been down this road before on several occasions. He's been found, as you know, to have contravened these rules. And now that there is a probe into the WE scandal, I guess the question remains of, are we not going to have the same thing happen where there's a small fine, perhaps even a finding, but then nothing comes from there? So do you think there needs to be a revamping and a reforming of the teeth, for lack of a better term, that this body and this office have?
Well, I would say yes. You are correct that we've been down this road before. We've had very serious allegations against the Prime Minister. He's been found guilty, in fact, twice of breaking ethics rules. The last time, when it was his attempt to influence the decision of the independent Attorney General of Canada, he refused to cooperate with the investigation. The Ethics Commissioner himself said that not all cabinet conferences were waived, and at least 9 witnesses were prevented from providing full testimony. So when Justin Trudeau says things like he's going to comply with this investigation, don't believe him. He said he'd be here this week to answer questions in the House of Commons, and he's not showing up today. It used to be that being found guilty of an ethics violation was enough for ministers to resign. That obviously doesn't hold true in the Liberal Party of Canada. I would challenge Liberal members of Parliament to do the right thing. They received more seats. They won more seats in the last election. So that party has the right to govern in a minority parliament. But nothing says that they have to keep Justin Trudeau on as their leader. And as he goes down this road, as more and more information comes to light about his unethical behavior, each and every one of them has a choice to make as to whether or not they allow him to continue to lead their party. They are comfortable with his corruption. So that will be a choice for Canadians to make in the next election.
You're leaving that decision right now to the Liberals. It's currently an opposition-controlled House of Commons. You're the leader of the official opposition. Why not introduce a motion if you feel that there is such a lack of confidence for Justin Trudeau in the House?
Well, as you know, we are in a unique period of time for our Parliament and for the country. I am continuing on as leader while the party selects a new leader. So the next leader will be able to make those types of decisions as to what they want the official opposition, to do in the House of Commons. In the meantime, we're focused on getting programs improved for the benefit of Canadians to ensure that they get the help they need during this very difficult time.
Operator, next question.
Please press star 1 at this time if you have a question. S'il vous plaît, appuyez sur étoile 1 maintenant pour poser une question. There are no further questions. Oh, we do have a question from Marieke Walsh. Nous avons une question de Marieke Walsh du Globe and Mail. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous. All right.
to do.
Go ahead.
Hi, it's Marika. I'm wondering what more your party plans to do if you're saying that the Prime Minister is hiding right now. What specifically can you do to push for more accountability on the WE controversy?
Well, unfortunately, the Trudeau Liberals have taken away a lot of the tools that the opposition normally has to hold them to account by eliminating parliamentary sittings in May and June. We lost the ability to have opposition day motions and questions on the order paper and things like that, the normal tools that opposition parties are given to ensure that governments are held accountable. We're going to use every tool at our disposal at the various committees where we've started these investigations. When we are able to do things like put forward motions in the House again, there have been instances in the past where the House has adopted motions to compel members of Parliament, including cabinet ministers, to testify at committee. So those are some of the things that we'll be looking at when we have those tools back at our disposal. In the meantime, we're going to appeal to Canadians to put pressure on Liberal members of Parliament to get them to do the right thing, to allow these committees to do their work. We saw last time with SNC-Lavalin, when the hammer came down from the PMO, the Liberal MPs snapped to it and shut down all those investigations. Well, they can't do that now because they don't have a majority on committee. But as we saw last week, they can still shamefully filibuster and prevent testimony from being made so that Canadians can get the answers that they deserve. So we're going to continue to do everything we can at the committee level and continue to make our calls for the RCMP to investigate these very serious and troubling allegations.
And what should happen to the actual program now? What should happen to $900 million? Should the entire purpose of it be canceled, or what should happen to that money?
Well, we've been saying for months now that there already is a program to help young people get experience, earn some money, and support the volunteer sector. It already exists. There's already an infrastructure around it. There are already civil servants who are experts at allocating resources to organizations that need it. It's called the Canada Summer Jobs Program. Every member of Parliament has an ability to highlight organizations in their ridings that could benefit from those types of grants. So what we've been saying is there's a way to do it without having to sole source an organization that has close ties with senior Liberals. We don't understand why the Liberals had to create a new complicated program, although it looks like we are finding out why they did. It was to benefit an organization that had been very cozy with the Liberal Party of Canada. So we continue to support measures to help young people get education, get on-the-job experience that help the volunteer sector. We just believe that the government shouldn't have to always grow and expand to do it. We can use existing programs to do the very same objectives as the program that was announced.
And we'll now take questions from the room. I'm told we have time for 3 questions in the room. Nous allons maintenant prendre des questions dans la salle. On m'indique que je n'ai de temps que pour 3 questions dans la salle. Question?
Oui, bonjour, M. Scheer, Hélène Buzetti du Devoir. J'aimerais seulement revenir sur le projet de loi. Vous avez dit que vous êtes d'accord avec la portion sur les handicapés, mais un projet de loi, c'est un tout. Il faut voter pour ou contre. Alors, pouvez-vous être plus précis? Voterez-vous en faveur du projet de loi ou pas?
Il y a des négociations entre les leaders de la Chambre dans tous les partis. Il y a des options pour assurer qu'on peut assurer que l'aide pour les personnes handicapées soit adoptée en même temps qu'on soulève nos préoccupations, nos inquiétudes avec le projet de loi. Alors, on va assurer que l'aide pour les personnes handicapées sera adoptée.
C'est pas très clair. Est-ce que vous voulez diviser le projet de loi? Mais ma deuxième question, si c'était pas ça, je voulais revenir sur la question des allégations visant Yves-François Blanchet. Vous les avez vues. Êtes-vous du même avis, par exemple, que de Mélanie Joly, qui dit que même si elles sont anonymes, ces allégations, M. Blanchet doit y répondre? Vous pensez quoi de cette situation?
Mais, comme j'ai noté, c'est Mélanie Joly a un siège à côté de Justin Trudeau, qui lui-même était accusée des gestes inappropriés. Elle a été tellement silente pendant les nouvelles autour de Justin Trudeau lui-même. Et c'est toujours la même chose avec les libéraux. Quand il y a une accusation dans un autre parti, elle est très, très vite pour dire qu'ils croient les victimes. Mais quand il y a une allégation contre Justin Trudeau, elle est très silente. Moi-même, nous avons un processus dans notre parti. J'ai adopté, quand j'étais président de la Chambre des communes, nous avons adopté une régie pour les allégations. Quand j'ai été élu chef du Parti conservateur, j'ai adopté un processus pour notre parti. Et j'ai confiance dans notre processus et j'espère que tous les autres partis ont un processus similaire.
Bonjour, M. Scheer, Louis Blouin de Radio-Canada. Juste pour clarifier les choses sur le projet de loi aujourd'hui, est-ce qu'il faut s'attendre, parce que le NPD et le Bloc vont appuyer le projet de loi tel quel, est-ce que vous allez appuyer le projet de loi tel quel, donc qu'il y aurait consentement unanime aujourd'hui? Est-ce que c'est votre compréhension?
Je crois que nous avons trouvé une position unanime de la Chambre. On va voir dans quelques heures si ça reste, mais je suis confiant que l'aide pour les personnes handicapées va être adoptée très vite. Comme j'ai dit, oui, c'est une partie de projet de loi entière. Et c'est difficile de voir le gouvernement libéral utilise la pandémie pour cacher ses faiblesses. Il a créé un lien entre les subventions salariales et l'aide pour les personnes handicapées. Il joue des petits politiques avec l'aide pour les personnes handicapées. Et nous avons vu ça en mois de juin. Les conservateurs ont proposé une solution pour adopter un projet de loi pour donner l'aide aux personnes handicapées immédiatement dans une manière très, très vite. Les libéraux ont refusé. Il a bloqué la motion en mois de juin. Alors, on va assurer pendant les prochains 2-3 jours que l'aide pour les personnes handicapées soit adoptée.
Pour revenir sur M. Blanchet, est-ce que vous êtes rassuré par ses explications ou êtes-vous toujours inquiet? Avez-vous toujours des questions sur les allégations le concernant?
Comme j'ai dit, nous avons un processus dans notre parti pour gérer les accusations comme ça. Et c'est à chaque parti et chaque membre de chaque caucus de déterminer si pour assurer que leur propre parti a un processus aussi. Et je dis encore que c'est hypocritique de voir les ministres libéraux très, très vite déclarer qu'ils croient les victimes dans un cas, dans un autre parti, mais elles restent toujours silentes autour des allégations dans sa propre parti.
Hi, Mr. Scheer. Rachel Haynes from CTV National News. I'd just like to go back to clearing up a few of the things that you're saying about today's bill. Are any of the wage subsidy changes going to be passing today? Because you keep saying that you're going to be working over the next few days to get the changes that you want to see. So how is that going to look like over the next few days? Are you going to ensure that House returns over the next couple of days?
Mm-hmm. Well, the House is returning today at noon. Justin Trudeau picked today. He could have picked any day he liked. We tried to get this bill to support people with disabilities passed in June. Justin Trudeau refused. The Liberals blocked our unanimous consent motion. Then he picked today to come back to debate this bill and also to participate in question period. Then he decided to take a personal day. Well, it's completely unacceptable that he doesn't show up for work on the day that he chose. It's an insult to Canadians who have very serious questions about the WE scandal and who still are suffering because of the gaps in Mr. Trudeau's programs. There are still many Canadians who are falling through the holes in those programs. Conservatives have been proposing ideas like eliminating the barrier for people on CERB to earn more at their jobs. We want to see the government adopt the back-to-work bonus that we've been proposing, allowing people to keep earning their salaries while still qualifying for part of their CERB benefits. We've identified solutions to make the wage subsidy simpler. This iteration of it is very complex. So, as I said, we will be ensuring there are conversations being held between the House leaders. I'm told that they are very constructive, and I'm confident that we're going to find a solution that allows Conservatives to highlight our concerns around the wage subsidy bill, or the wage subsidy components of the bill, while still ensuring that people with disabilities get the help they need. Oui. Il y a des conversations entre les House Leaders de tous les partis et j'ai la confiance qu'on va trouver une solution qui va permettre les conservateurs de souligner leurs préoccupations avec les subventions salariales, en même temps assurer que les personnes handicapées vont avoir l'aide qu'ils ont besoin.
And I would just like to go back, though, to what the next couple days are going to look like when you say you're going to continue pushing the Liberals over the next few days. How exactly are you going to be doing that? And maybe you can add more to the conversations that you're having. And also, what specifically are the solutions that you're proposing to make the changes that you want to see to the wage subsidy?
We're going to be using question period today and debate today to highlight the problems with the wage subsidies, the complexities therein. We've heard from the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses. We've heard from our constituents who are saying that, what they need is a easy to access program. There are still companies that should qualify for the wage subsidy being told that they don't for very technical reasons. And now, instead of having a very simple set of phases or a scale of qualifications, they've come up with a very complicated formula. So specifically what we'd like to see is a simplification of this program, and our Shadow Minister for Finance will be outlining specific proposals throughout the day today, and we're hopeful that the government adopts them. They have adopted some of our ideas. For example, on the help for people with disabilities, we said back in June that it was too restrictive. Now it includes more people with disabilities, and it also includes veterans. That's thanks to the hard work of the Conservative caucus pushing on those concerns. We're hopeful that they will adopt our ideas on the CERB and on other things, for example, the rental subsidy. You still need to have experienced a catastrophic drop in revenue before you qualify for the rental program. There are many businesses that have lost 30, 40, 50% of their revenue who still don't qualify. So we are hopeful that they will adopt our programs, our ideas to fix their programs. But here we are in the end of July. And remember, Justin Trudeau said in March that he was going to design these programs quickly and then fix them as time went on. Well, Canadians are going through these difficulties in real time. And Justin Trudeau is so slow to fix the problems with his programs, even though other opposition parties have not only identified them, but actually provided the solutions for them. We've actually written out what amendments could look like to fix these programs, and they still won't adopt them. It's very, very frustrating.
Granted, last question.
Stephanie Levitz, the Canadian Press. So are you seeking amendments to the bill today? Is that your path forward to get the entire thing passed, or are you seeking to divide out the CEWS portion into a different piece of legislation?
Well, I'm told that the House leaders are in conversations right now about a motion that would allow Conservatives to highlight our problems, our concerns, our dissatisfaction with the portions of the wage subsidy that are so complicated. We'd like to see those simplified, while at the same time ensuring that help for people with disabilities gets adopted very quickly. So we'll see it. I think it's noon. The House is coming back. It's noon, so it's only a little over an hour away, but I'm confident that we're going to have a way forward on that.
And if not, do you have a trick up your sleeve that you intend to pull to delay the proceedings?
I'm told that we're finding a lot of common ground between the House leaders to ensure that this bill is able to proceed. So I don't anticipate the need for reaching back into the Speaker's bag of procedural maneuvers.
And that was our last question.
Thank you.
Hold on.
Just question. Electronic voting, that report is public. How do you feel about that? Can you tell us if your party's going to support that?
I have been very concerned how Justin Trudeau has used this pandemic to sideline Parliament, to take away tools of the opposition, and to give himself massive amounts of unprecedented power. I'm very concerned at the road that the Liberals seem to be headed down this path. We prefer, as our House Leader wrote to the Speaker, we prefer solutions that maintain the traditions of Parliament, in-person meetings. There are ideas that you could have for personal ways of voting, other countries have different mechanisms for that. I believe our dissenting report is public as well. If not, it will be soon when the PROC report is published. So in that dissenting report, you'll see the Conservative position very specifically articulated. Thanks very much.
This concludes the press conference. Ici met fin à la conférence de presse.